Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Game Brothers podcast, a weekly podcast all about board games and video games, the games we've been playing lately, a little bit about the news going on in those industries, and just some fun other shenanigans. My name is David, and I'm joined every week by my brother, the other Super Game Brother. How are you today, Devin?
The other Super Game Brother's doing quite well. Just trying to, at 33 years old, make sure my body continues to work until I'm 70. I'm noticing it doesn't like to move like it used to.
Definitely. I feel like
I've got this weird thing in my back. Sorry to cut you off, but I got this weird thing in my back. I can just like turn all the time after sitting and it just pops so hardcore in my lower back. I'm like, I've never had that before. I don't know what's going on. It's a little scary.
Yeah, I agree. You just kind of notice little things that feel like that is probably not going to work correctly in a few years because it seems to be popping or cracking in a way that I don't think sounds safe. Kind of like, you get in like an old Honda Civic. It's like 25 years old and started up, the engine's cold and starts, and then you drive down the street and everything's rattling. That's how I feel when I walk. So I agree. I think that's good though. You're good at like staying on your exercise regimen, eating well, supplementing. So you're probably going to live to 110. And
I might. I don't know that I want to. Maybe I do. But for some reason, that is some passion of mine. It's just like vitamins, hydration, fitness. I don't know why, bro. I don't know.
Oh, it's good. You could be maybe like the first Twitch streamer, still killing it, making tons of money at over 100 years old. That'd be hardcore.
That'd be crazy.
By that time,
my channel.
Yeah, by that point, they might have figured out a way to like transfer your consciousness into a computer or into a new body. So you might go from 110 to, I don't know, being 17 again. Who knows?
That would be weird because I feel like when I pass beyond this life, I think I just want my consciousness to just go with me.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Let's just be done with it. Like I feel like at that point, like you had your life, pretending that you can start a new one seems a little like human hubris a little bit, but I don't know.
He knows all the words.
Hubris. It's like confidence and pride. It's like, I don't know, some combination of those things. Cool. Well, what was the exercise regimen today?
Is a push day. So that consists of just your chest and triceps and random things. But I've been just adding yoga into every lift, trying to get my flexibility up and hip mobility because our hips get tight and our legs don't want to bend the way they're supposed to. And sitting for too long in one position locks our knees up, and I don't like it. It stresses me out. I want to be able to jump and sprint when I'm 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was talking to mom and dad about that the other day, or maybe it was you that was telling me. And I think they do this stretch every night when they're watching their evening TV show where they kind of sit in it's a standing, like squatted position, kind of like a toddler would like play with their toys while they're still on their feet, but they're basically squatted. So their butt is almost on the floor.
Right. I do that every day. I don't know what it's called. But man, it's good for you. You just feel it. And it like stretches out your feet and your ankles. You feel it in your calves and your shins. If you can get it to where your butt's almost on the ground, your heels are down, and your feet are relatively wide, almost shoulder width, then you're sitting pretty. I was told that some people do their work that way. That is the proper way to sit, basically. Sitting is bad for us. That position is supposed to be extremely good. I don't know what it's called, so anybody listening, I'm sorry. You'll have to look up standing, sitting, squat thing.
I feel like it'd be hard to work that way. I would need to like put my computer on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Or like a little mini
imagine
desk.
doing that for like hours.
Mm-hmm.
You're built different at that point.
Yeah, you're basically a monkey because that's like how they sit all day, like digging through the bugs and whatever they do. What do monkeys do?
Dude, I would be a monkey because monkeys are jacked for some reason. I don't know if it's the potassium in the bananas or what it is, but I'm down. I would eat bananas and drink milk every day and be in monkey positions because, I mean, have you seen some of those like orangutans or anything that's related to a gorilla? They're jacked for no reason.
Oh yeah, and they're so strong, like it's scary crazy. Strong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Well, 110-year-old Devin gorilla. I'm excited to see it in 80 years.
Yeah. I'll be streaming. I'll be just like pounding bananas, bro. I'll stream. It's going to be so
good.
And
some milk, and you'll stream sitting in that squatted position too.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. No gaming chair.
By that point, you might be so good at that, you could just like have your DualShock in your playing with your feet, you know?
Yeah, why not? Honestly, I'd be down. Instead of having back triggers on my controller, I just use my toes for like jump and slide.
That's the weirdest visual in my head right now, trying to picture someone holding a controller with their feet and their like pinky toes like curling around the back trying to push the triggers. Cool. Well, Devin, we're this is episode 30, which is kind of cool and crazy. And for anyone that's watching on YouTube, you might have thought we missed a week, but we didn't. Last week was a little crazy. I've been building a budget kind of studio in my little office. It's right here next to me so that I can film some board game content easier with like a ceiling mounted camera and a camera in front of me, a stream deck, and some other things. And I'm not good at video production in any way. So last week we tried to record the podcast in person, which I think we will do a little bit more often going forward. And I was definitely not ready for that. Devin, I don't know if you've seen that video.
I haven't seen it. But
yeah, you probably shouldn't. I left it as a Patreon exclusive. So it's only on Patreon. It's not on the wider YouTube world because when I like switched scenes to the top-down camera to like show the games and stuff, I don't think I had the same mic set in the scene, so it was trying to pick up audio from a different mic across the room or something. And yeah, it was a mess. But anyways, we don't miss weeks, and we didn't miss last week. It's just kind of a rough kind of experiment. But this is week 30. It's back to the virtual mode, and the studio is almost in its more final state. I got our 2 matching microphones so that we can do it in person and still have good audio with having a mic for each of us there on the table. So yeah, that'll be fun.
One day we'll have XLR mics and a mixer, and it'll be all fancy.
Yeah, that'll be nice. We're doing it in a teeny tiny room, and I tried to do it as budget friendly as possible and get like $100 cameras when all the ones online were people were recommending were like, this is the most budget level camera you can get, and it's like $1,200. Like, I can't spend that. So here we are. But it's okay. Even at the super budget level, it's going to look better and more professional than it did. So I'm excited about it. So that's the reason for the little mix up or change from last week. But studio's exciting, fun stuff. I'm pumped about it, at least. Devin, I had one other thing I wanted to talk to you about before we start the show. Have you ever been to TopGolf?
Maybe twice.
Okay. Yeah, I had probably been 5 or 6 times for like work parties or something. And it's kind of that awkward thing. Same reason I don't love bowling. Even though I kind of like bowling. I took a bowling class in college and a golf class. So here we go. Maybe I like both of these sports. I don't like performing a sport right next to other people that I don't know and having them watch. And that's kind of the bowling and TopGolf effect. It's obviously a lot less pressure because you look over and everyone sucks, and they're like, we had one guy hit his ball so wrong that it like hit the display in front of him, and we're pretty sure it broke a few aisles away from us. And my friend was telling me that he was there recently and someone accidentally let go of their club, and it like flew into his bay and almost hit him and like broke a light above them or something. So I'm sure there's some crazy things going on at TopGolf. But the last 2 Mondays in a row, my neighbor has invited me to go with their little group, and he has an annual pass, which I didn't know they did, because TopGolf's kind of pricey, right? It's like $60 an hour if you want to rent one of those little bays, and you can split it between some friends, and so that's not too bad. But if you go often, you're like, well, I'm going to spend $15-20 per person if we get a drink. And by the way, their drink selection is terrible. You know, at least for sodas, I don't know what other people are drinking, but the only diet soda they have is Pepsi Max, which, you know, whatever, it's okay. But like,
The heck is that? I thought that was
Mountain Dew,
discontinued,
Dr.
like
Pepper.
Mr. Pibb or something.
But yeah, it's gonna be like $20 a person, and so I'm like, if I go like once a week, that's like freaking expensive. But my friend, yeah, he has a annual pass that him and some of his other friends split, and he pays like $1,000 a year. But then he can go an unlimited amount, and he does. He goes every single day,
Really?
and he can play as long as he wants. He just has to like set a tee time in advance so they know that he's coming. And he invites me and a couple other of our neighbors every Monday to go. And so I feel like I'm kind of ripping him off. I just get to like go and golf for free, and because he has the whole bay with his annual pass. It's kind of crazy.
That's nutty. He must really, really enjoy that place to go every day.
Yeah. He loves golf, and golfs a lot, and so he uses TopGolf as his practice. So I was actually going to ask you this question, because I didn't know that they even had this. TopGolf, usually, most people go and just play the simple mode where you're, aiming at the holes, and they're giant, and they have like different rings out in the grass. And if you get it close to the pin or whatever, then it gives you 10 points. And then you swing again, and it gives you 5 points or whatever. I didn't know they had this other mode. They also have an Angry Birds mode, where it's like you aim a specific way and you'll knock down all the pigs or whatever. Very dumb. But my kids like that mode. They also have some actual courses that are represented in the game. I don't know how many they have. I've only played 2 because I've been there the last 2 weeks. He's played all of them many, many times. And it's basically like you're playing Tiger Woods or something. It shows your position on the hole on the screen, and you can like push over left and right over to adjust where you're aiming. And then the screen tells you, like, for this shot, you need to aim for the green pin or whatever, and you're 400 yards from the hole. And so you swing, you do an actual drive, and then the next shot, maybe you're 150 yards away. And it, again, based on where you point it and how you swing, if you hit a straight shot, like it shows that on the screen. So it's kind of like you're playing Tiger Woods, but your swings are actually input into the game. It's not perfect. They're like sometimes where you're in a bunker and you hit a shot that is actually a pretty good shot, but the game thinks it's too low. And so you're like stuck in the other end of the bunker. So it's not perfect, but it works pretty well, actually. The only weird thing is the putting. Since they don't have a putting green there, how they have putting work is once you're within, I think it's 30 yards of the hole, then it switches to putting mode. And then it has you chip at the yellow rings, which are the 50-yard ones out. And then depending on how close you get to the 50-yard flag, decides if you 1-putt or 2-putt or 3-putt the hole. So that's how you could get like a birdie, a par, or a bogey or something. Anyways, and so they have full courses on there. So the last 2 weeks we've played for like 3 solid hours and done a full 18 hole course, excuse me. Actually very fun. I've been very surprised. I think that's the way to do it if you are not terrible at golf. I mean, I'm not great, but I've played a little bit. And so, yeah, it's just a lot more fun because you actually like have some direction. You're trying to shoot a low number of shots, so it feels more like traditional golf, even though you're still just standing in the bay and hitting. But yeah, very, very cool. It's kind of made me want to get a new set of golf clubs and a new bag, because I'm still using my same set that I got when I was 17 in high school, and my black and red hunter bag that I got for $60 in 2007. So I need new clubs and a new bag and everything. But Dad gave me his old Titleist driver, and so I've been using that one with the orange shaft. I like that one quite a bit. He also gave me someone's burner. I don't know if it was yours or Dallin's, because I think you had matching ones. That tailor-made driver. So I have that too. So when I went on Monday, I took 3 drivers and was testing all 3 of them. So it's kind of fun. TopGolf. Who would have thought? But
yeah, I was gonna sell that driver for like 400, but
nice. Yeah.
No, I think
was
I did
it yours?
sell
I
it.
don't even know who's.
I don't know. I sold all my clubs. I'm the person that splurged like $1,200 in one day to get a new bag, a whole Titleist iron set, and get all this ish. And then I realized that game is
very
sometimes more infuriating than it is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't going often enough, and I was like, this isn't worth it. So
yeah,
but maybe the TopGolf simulator is. I don't know. It sounds cool.
I think it's a good way to practice. And it's less pressure if you shank a shot. Like, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to go walk in the trees to try and find it, right? It's just,
that is
hey,
true.
it's over there. And my next shot, I just shoot from the same spot anyway. So yeah, it's been really fun to practice that way. I am excited to go to an actual course again, because it's been almost 10 years, I think, since I've been to an actual golf course. But
wow.
You did sell those nice irons, though.
I did. I sold everything. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you about those. I couldn't remember if you had or not. Yeah, I want to get some new ones. They have crazy clubs nowadays. And all these companies, I don't know how they get away with this, but they'll say like AI technology in the club face. And I'm like, yeah, you've got artificial intelligence in the club face. Yeah, right. You're just using that term because it, is buzzy and will help you sell some more clubs. But very expensive sport. So I've just been very surprised with how good of a deal that seems. I mean, it's still expensive, $1,000, but he does literally go every day. He works downtown, and there is a TopGolf like 10 minutes away from downtown. So he goes to that one on his way home from work. And then there's one down by me as well. That's like 10 minutes from my house. And so then he goes to that one in the evenings. So sometimes he goes 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know what's going on, but
wow.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Anyways, TopGolf, fun time, golf, fun sport. If you have money and time. If you don't, then it's, man, so frustrating at times. Anyways, yeah, just wanted to tell my TopGolf story. And a shout out to John, who invites me to go with him and basically go for free. And the last time I tried to pay for everyone's drinks and the pizza, and he had a gift card, wouldn't even let me do that. So I don't know what's going on.
Oh, John's a real one.
He is. He is a real one. He's a cool guy. Cool, Dev. Anything else new or going on in your neck of the woods?
No, not really. Just trying to get the most out of my spooky month. Just watching a lot of movies. I've ran out of movies, but we've played a lot of horror games. I've started to rewatch Insidious, The Conjuring, Annabelle, all of those. And they're sentimental enough to me, so it's a good time. But I think
that first Conjuring movie is really good. It's scary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty intense.
I haven't seen any of them beyond that one. That's about my limit in scariness. That one's pretty creepy to me.
I have this fear that I don't have a limit anymore.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
I can watch these horror films by myself, and it's just like, it's as if I watched a rom-com. It's out of my mind that quickly. It didn't affect me in any way, and I was just like, yeah, it was a little bit cheesy.
Yeah, Devin sees the demon on the closet and is like, hey, she kind of cute.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, yes, please. Someone come haunt me so I can fall in love.
Yeah. Fun. Speaking of horror movies, October here, there was a sale on Amazon. So Lacey and I did watch Trap a couple days ago, which was fun.
Thoughts?
I liked it quite a bit. I thought a few main thoughts. Fun movie. I liked it. I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was good. I thought, what's the actor's name? Josh Hartnett, I think. I thought he was excellent. He was so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the way he acted was perfect, and like just the crazy amount of creepiness. I did not know he had that in him. So I thought that was really good. I also thought it was cool that it was, I think, if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. M. Night Shyamalan's daughter who plays
She like
Lady
wrote the
Raven.
music, didn't she?
She wrote all the music and performed it, and that's really cool. A little bit of nepotism, but that's how it goes in show business.
He
But
knows all the words.
nepotism is like when you get your family member a job because you have a job,
Maybe I need to do that in my life. I don't know.
And I thought she was good at that. I didn't think she was a great actress, though. So like the last 30 minutes of the movie when she was a more prominent character, I was like, I wish that it was somebody that had better acting chops, because Josh Hartnett was like killing every scene. And I was like, oh man. And then, she's opposite him and I'm like, come on, step it up.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of cool moments in that show where you're just like really diving into his character because of what he is in that movie. And you're like, oh man, he's playing this so well. And he looks at her and he goes, I think you're looking for me. And I was like,
that scene was tense.
Shoot. Yeah. Oh shoot. Mm-hmm. Yes, I am. He was
pretty smart getting out of there. I was surprised at how quickly they revealed that twist. I think they kind of hinted at it in the movie trailers and stuff too, but it's only like 10 minutes into the movie when they just show that on his phone. And I was like, oh snap, they're going there already. So it was kind of cool. I liked it quite a bit. I don't think it's Mr. Shyamalan's best movie. And like I said, I don't think a lot of the supporting characters were as good, but I really liked Josh Hartnett. And I thought the girl that played his daughter did a good job too.
I agree.
And so I just think it was mainly Lady Raven. I just thought she was good at the entertaining and the concert part, but not the rest of the acting.
There's a new Shyamalan movie on HBO Max called Caddo Lake, with the main kid from Maze Runner, whatever his name is. I like him
a lot. Dylan O'Brien, I think.
Yes, that is right.
Yeah, he's great.
He is in it. And it plays... I actually won't tell you anything since you haven't seen it, but interesting enough, worth a watch.
Okay.
Just came out.
Cool. Oh, I'm totally into that. I love Shyamalan's movies, and I like Dylan O'Brien quite a bit. So it's kind of funny. He came from that TV show Teen Wolf, I think, where he wasn't the main character. It was that other guy who was obviously a worse actor. And like the whole time I was like, why is this other guy not the main character? Because Dylan O'Brien was such a better actor than that guy. No offense to that guy, Not that he cares. He probably made millions of dollars and doesn't care what I'm saying about him. But
he might be listening to the podcast, though, his feelings could be hurt.
Yeah. So I just needed to make sure I covered those bases so that a werewolf doesn't jump through my window tonight. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Caddo Lake.
Yep. Caddo.
Cool. All right. Well, like I mentioned at the top, this is a board game and video game podcast. We do it every single week. This is episode number 30. It's a fun time. We just talk about the games we're playing. Devin and I have been playing video games our entire lives, basically, since we were 4, somewhere around there. So we've played so many video games. I got really deep into hobby board gaming in the last decade. Love board games as well. That's what my separate YouTube channel is about. And so we just talk about both of those things. This goes live on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcast services every Monday. But you can get the show 3 days early if you check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers. You can also write into the show. We'll answer your questions on the air. And I already said you get the show early. We do a monthly Q&A. Get your name in the credits. Some other cool perks there as well. So please go check us out there. That's how we keep the lights on. Okay, Devin, not a ton of news this week. Xbox had a little showcase that had probably 12 different things we'll go over fairly quickly. And then it's just kind of the end of the year here where almost everything is known, right? We had the big video game conventions already. and the board game conventions are basically done because Spiel was a couple weeks ago. And so since those things are already done, it's basically everybody knows what's happening throughout the rest of the year. And so these companies are focused on Black Friday sales and how many copies of our game can we sell for Christmas and stuff. There's not really a lot of like news that happens unless Nintendo ends up like showing the Switch 2 this fall, which would mirror what they did with the first Switch, where I think they put out a trailer for it in November before they like officially had a presentation about it in February or something. So that might happen sometime soon, but not too much. So we're going to go into the news mini nuke, and in the news mini nuke we go over kind of smaller game announcements. This week we'll quickly go over that Xbox partner preview. Then we'll go over new games to subscription services, and then we'll change topics and jump into what we've been playing. So a couple weeks ago, we had a segment going over the games that Devir is going to be releasing in 2025, and Yellow Games, very prominent board game publisher. They spell their name in a cool way. It's IELLO. I think they might be French. I can never remember, but cool publisher. They make some cool games. Kind of released their 2025 lineup. So we're just going to go through a few of these games. I think there's 5 here maybe, and just kind of trade off reading these little segments. The first game is called Popcorn, and it is a 2 to 4 player game about managing your own movie theater, which I think is a pretty cool theme. Not one that's used really ever. I did see like a horror game where you were a character like haunting a movie theater a few weeks ago in Crowdfunding Corner, but one like this where you're running a movie theater, I don't think I've ever seen one like that. So anyways, I'm going to read this snippet here from the publisher. In Popcorn, each player manages their own movie theater and tries to show the best combination of movies in order to attract guests to their seats. The game plays out over 9 rounds, and in each round you may acquire a new movie, build or upgrade your theater, and use advertising to attract new guests. Then it's showtime, with you drawing guests at random from your bag to see who has shown up. Place guests in the right seats to activate special powers, match them with the right movies, and you get a movie bonus as well thanks to their enthusiasm for your good taste. After watching films in your theater, guests might be spirited away to other theaters thanks to ads presented by those theater owners, but you'll probably do the same to them too. The bonuses from a movie get worse the longer it runs, so be sure to bring in fresh films to keep guests on the edge of their seats. After all, happy guests can help your theater win awards in town. More importantly, they can keep the popcorn piling up in your coffers, and whichever theater owner fills their popcorn box the best wins. Don't know a ton about it other than it seems to be a bag builder. You're putting different what would you call them, theater goers into your bag and then drawing them out at random. Kind of similar to deck building, but instead of with cards, it's with pieces you're putting in a bag. Drawing them out, and then I like that it seems the points in the game are popcorn pieces, and each player has their own little popcorn tray that you put all your popcorn points in. So kind of a clever little thing there. So anyways, that could be a fun game. I can't remember how many can you zoom in on the box there, Devin, to see how many players and the play time and the recommended age? It's like 2 to 4 players, 10 plus, and about an hour. So medium, maybe medium light. Not too complex there. Anyways, that is Popcorn. And I'll just do the next one, Devin, too, because it's really short. Yellow's biggest game is Kings. I don't think it's Kings, actually. King of Tokyo. It's a kind of Yahtzee-like game where you're playing as a monster, kind of fighting another monster, I believe. I haven't played it in a long time, but Mom and Dad even have King of Tokyo. Very, very big, popular game. The game comes with quite a few monsters, and they've had tons of expansions. And in 2025, their 100th monster will be coming out for King of Tokyo, which is crazy that there's been that many. So I think the regular game comes with like 5 or something like that.
Wow.
The monster is called the 100th and is in Yellow's like black and yellow logo colors. Kind of this big robot dragon dude. So lots of Kings of Tokyo stuff. They announced like an expansion for the new King of Tokyo Duel. I'm not going to go over all of that stuff, but if you like King of Tokyo, there's going to be more of that probably forever. because that's their biggest item, I think. And then next up is one called Time Bomb Undercover, which I believe is a reworking of an earlier game that was called Time Bomb.
We've only got 3 photos of it, but I will read the little thing here. In Time Bomb Undercover, which features gameplay similar to Time Bomb, you take on the role of secret agents who have different goals. The agency wants to stop a bomb from going off, the organization wants to destroy the world, and the shadow wants to manipulate everyone else in order to snip the final wire on the bomb. Try to guess the identity of your neighbors, trust them or not, based on what you think you know about their identity, and guide your team to victory. Each round, visit a new part of the world and discover a twist event that will spice up the game. Interesting.
Yeah, seems like a hidden role party game. Those are very common. 4 to 8 players, 20 minutes, and it looks like you can at certain times like show your identity to the players next to you, and they might show theirs to you as well. So a little unique there, but probably not a David game. I'm very picky with those kinds of games. Next up is Pina Coladice, like colada, but coladice. Has this cool toucan rolling a die on the cover, like the artwork. Pina, I don't know how to pronounce that last word. Coladice. Pina Coladice is a family party game in which you roll the dice up to 3 times to claim one of the available combinations on coasters. Position yourself strategically with your cocktail tokens before your opponents. You will earn precious points that will bring you closer to victory, but the quickest way to win is to line up 4 of your cocktail tokens to make the famous Pina Coladice and win instantly. I like games that have a secondary win condition that's like you win immediately if you do this. It's kind of fun tension because then they're trying to get as many points as they can, but they're also, well, I need to stop him from getting that or he wins right now. So I don't know. Cool artwork, cool pieces. Seems kind of like Yahtzee with the roll 3 times, which is a mechanism I love. I love the Yahtzee rolling mechanism. So could be a cool one. Next up is one called Luz, L-U-Z, all in capital letters. Has this cool stained glass window on the cover, and I think it's a trick-taking game. Yeah, it does say that here in the blurb, but with that knowledge going in, I'll let Devin read the rest.
As you enter the cathedral, you're suddenly gripped by the magnitude of the challenge ahead. Compose with color and light to leave your competitors in the shadow. In this trick-taking game, hold your cards in your hand without looking at them. While you know the suits, only your opponents know the values of your cards. Interesting. Look at your opponent's hands to deduce the value of your cards and bet the number of tricks you think you will win. Strange.
A lot of trick-taking games do this thing where you look kind of at your cards and then determine, okay, I think I'm going to win 3 of the 7 tricks or however many there are. This one does seem a little unique. I hope it comes with those holders because that is kind of the worst part of games where you're not supposed to look at one side of your own hand. Is if it's in my hand, I'm going to accidentally flip it around just out of like fiddliness. But if it has like these cool holders, I'm guessing these wood ones here were not included in the game since I'm not seeing them on the back of that box, but I hope they include some plastic holders or something because that would help with that. But cool idea. And then last up that we're going to mention here is one called Minotaur Dice. It's called Mino Dice in other countries, but in America, it's going to be called Minotaur Dice. And it's basically a trick-taking game, but instead of with cards, you play it with dice, which I think is a pretty cool idea. It says, the first player in a hand chooses a die from behind their screen, then rolls it in public. If they roll a number die, each other player must roll a number die of this color if possible. So you have to follow the lead color. Otherwise, they roll a die of their choice. Alternatively, a player can always roll a Minotaur, Griffin, or Mermaid die. After each player has rolled, see who has the highest die and claims the trick. A rolled flag is a 0 and cannot win the trick. The Minotaur beats the Griffin, which beats the Mermaid, which beats the Minotaur. And all of these special characters beat numbers, so they're kind of like the trump values. If no one rolls a special character, the highest number rolled wins the trick, with a tie being broken in favor of whoever rolled last. The player who wins the trick collects the dice in front of their screen, then chooses a die from their collection behind their screen to start the next trick. After all the tricks have been claimed, players score points. If you made your bid exactly, again, another game where you bid on how many tricks you're going to win based on the dice that you have. If you made your bid exactly, score 20 points per trick bid. If you missed your bid, then you lose 10 points for each trick your bid was off, whether higher or lower. If you bid 0 tricks and make it, score 10 points for each trick in the hand. If you miss a 0 bid, lose 10 points for each trick in the hand, regardless of how many tricks you made. If you made your bid and captured a minotaur with a mermaid without also capturing a flag, whew, that was a lot, score 50 bonus points. Similarly, if you capture a griffin with a minotaur without capturing a flag, score 30 bonus points. So you get bonus points if from the special characters as long as they don't capture a flag, which is like the 0 thing there. But cool idea with the dice being used instead of cards. I'm really into trick-taking games right now. I think they're fun. Sometimes they get a little too cute with it and add a little too much. This one might be flirting with that line, and the one before too, where you can't look at your cards. But sometimes a new one needs just enough of a twist like that to make it stand out. So maybe they'll both be great. But that is Minotaur Dice. And other than that, they had a few other party games that they mentioned. Another game in the guilty line of deduction games, but those were the 5 that I thought were worth chatting about. All right, for video games, we've got a few things here. Like I mentioned, Xbox had a partner preview, kind of a shorter little showcase where they showed, 12 things? Maybe? And this isn't everything. I skipped a few. So there are maybe 15 things here. First one, just the best announcement ever. Animal Well is finally coming to Xbox. I think it's available. It was a available today announcement, so it's out right now. This trailer is one with Donkey talking over it. He's just hilarious. He actually owns the company that published this game. Since he's become so big, he started a video game publishing company and published Animal Well as their first game. Animal Well rules. So if you like puzzle games and Metroidvanias and puzzles with lots of layers, even if you don't love puzzle games, just try it out because it's so wonderful. Anyways, Animal Well out today. Next one was very unique. It's called Blind Fire, and it's available today as well on the Xbox Game Preview program. So it's kind of in like early access preview mode, I think for free, just if you have Game Pass. It's a first-person shooter that you play in mostly the dark, but you use different abilities to kind of like echolocate like a bat, and you can like hear the enemies and see them at very specific moments, or you might use some items that light up the screen for a second. Again, cool twist on an idea. I think the graphics look cool. It might be fun. I don't know, but try that one if you have Game Pass, because I think game preview games are included there. Then this next one is a new game from Bloober Team, who just released the Silent Hill 2 remake, which has reviewed pretty dang well, actually. I think it's by far Bloober Team's biggest and most, at least critically well-received game, because they definitely had some duds before. This one is called Chronos: The New Dawn. It's also a survival horror game set in 1980s communist Poland. And I didn't even watch this whole trailer, but the graphics look very pretty. It's basically just a cutscene here, but I think he does look up and see a zombie monster crawling on the ceiling. So kind of gives me like Russian, Polish Resident Evil vibes, maybe with a little bit more sci-fi. He's holding like a pretty intense weapon with like a spacesuit on. So I don't know, might be really good. They've kind of got everyone's attention now, because Silent Hill 2, I think, Devin, you enjoyed quite a bit, right? Other than maybe a couple nitpicks with enemy variety and stuff.
Yeah, a bit of repetition, but overall the game was eerie. The atmosphere was fun. Yeah, decent game.
Yeah. So hopefully this one can continue their upward trajectory and not be a blub. A blub from Bloober. Next up is one called Eternal Strands. It's coming to Game Pass on day one in early 2025. And it kind of looked like, I don't know, yeah, even really how to explain it. It's kind of like colorful Diablo, where you're fighting like monsters. It's not top down though; it's like third person, but you're using spells, and I think it is only single player, if I remember correctly. Maybe it has a multiplayer mode or something, but you can also climb some of the bosses, Shadow of the Colossus style a bit, and has a cool art style in my opinion, but it didn't, I don't know, didn't stand out compared to some of these other games in the showcase, to me at least. That is Eternal Strands. Next one's a big one. It's a new game from Remedy, who does Alan Wake and Control, and this one is specifically a spin-off of Control. It is a co-op game set in the Control universe where you and up to 2 friends, so I think 3-player co-op, play as FBC agents. They are the Federal Bureau of Control agents, and you're kind of like fighting all of the creepy things that are in that secret under, I can't remember what that place is called in Control, but Control has such a cool vibe that this seems like it would be actually a pretty fun like co-op shooter. Kind of surprised it was like a first-person shooter, but I guess Control's third person because you can see the character the whole time. So yeah, just a different perspective, different characters, but it seems a lot more fast-paced and crazy than I thought it might. But it looks kind of fun. So that is it's called FBC Fire Break. Comes out next year, and it will be on Game Pass on day 1. Game Pass has had some changes lately, so I don't think it's on standard console Game Pass since that doesn't include day 1 games, but it's on Game Pass Ultimate day 1, if I'm understanding their tiers correctly. Next one is The Legend of Babu. In this one, I think your dog's name is Babu. He's a big white dog, and you can ride on him. And other than that detail, I don't know a lot about it, but it's kind of colorful. Reminds me of Kenna, Bridge of Spirits a little bit, at least the art style. And it does look like a third-person action-adventure game. You smack stuff with your staff, might learn some magic moves or some weird monsters you're fighting, all while your trusty dog, Babu, is following you around. The name just reminded me of the Seinfeld episode. Devin, I don't think you've seen Seinfeld, but Babu is the he starts a restaurant across the street and Jerry tries to help him, and then, then his restaurant goes out of business and he tells him, "You're a very bad man, Jerry." Oh man, that's a great episode. Anyways, Legend of Babu. Next up, this game had already been announced previously but got a release date. It's Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. I haven't played a Yakuza game. It's basically like more quirky Grand Theft Auto in Japan. It's kind of the idea is with like the Yakuza, obviously, since that's the name of the series, but it's very quirky. Like you'll fight people in your underwear and stuff. And this is a pirate version. I think it has ship combat that they showed here in this trailer. It comes out on February 21st, 2025. You can customize your boat and become the Yakuza captain of the seas, I guess.
Amazing.
So if you like Yakuza, I have wanted to try one of these because a lot of people really like them, but it's hard for me to get into like a new series, a big open world series too. And I think there are like 12 Yakuza games at this point. And I'm like, well, where do I start? I don't know. Next is one called Mistfall Hunter. It mixes Souls-like and extraction games, is what it said. And you can apply for an upcoming closed beta right now. Well, you can apply for it. The beta's not right now. I thought it had a cool vibe, and they do show like a few sections or segments, seconds, whichever one of those words we want to use, of actual gameplay combat here in a minute. And it looks like it could be good. I don't know what the extraction portion is, but you must have to like go out, fight a whole bunch, and then get stuff and extract before some timer or something. It's probably more elegant than just a timer, but you know what I mean.
Was that Anya Taylor-Joy right there?
That is exactly what I thought. I would be very surprised if they actually got her. Well, talk about another actor in a minute. Let me see. What was this game called? Mistfall. Anya Taylor-Joy. Mistfall video game.
If it's not pulling up any results, it's probably not her.
Man, I don't see like anything official that says it's supposed to be her, but man, it looks like they 1,000,000% just modeled her.
Oh yeah.
And so if they didn't have her permission, like, man, I imagine she could sue the crap out of them. But I don't know. Maybe they do, and I just couldn't find out in a quick Google search. But anyways, that is Mistfall Hunter. Cool art style, but a lot that I don't know about it at the moment. Next, Phasmophobia. I know you've played this one, Devin. It never seemed like incredibly intriguing to me. Seemed very samey.
Ooh,
Like,
I think you skipped one.
Did I? Oh, I totally did. Okay, rewind back in time. Mouse PI for hire. Definitely Mickey Mouse with a gun here in this cool like Cuphead animation style, but black and white. It's kind of Steamboat Willie style, but also a first-person shooter like Doom, where you are a private eye. So that's coming to Xbox next year in 2025. We've seen trailers for this one on the podcast a couple times, and I think the animation is excellent. Hopefully the gameplay can match because it does look cool. Now we're at Phasmophobia. I know you've played this one, Devin. I was saying when I was watching you play, it seemed like kind of cool for the first few rounds, but then it seemed like the prompts and the different scenarios repeated often. And so unless they have like upped the variety tremendously, I don't think this is like one I would be very excited about.
Yeah,
but,
this
man,
is
this
very
game's huge
similar.
for some reason.
Yeah, it's massive. Demonologist, Phasmophobia, very similar in a way. A lot of repetition, though. You know, it's fun with friends because it's spooky. Some people haven't played it and they're like, oh, this is so scary. But I mean, you put a couple hours into the game and then you understand it and you're like, oh.
And then you're like, oh, yeah, I've seen this closet before. And I know like where the ghost's going to be and what's going to happen. Yeah. Anyways, it's coming to Xbox on the 29th. So that's just 6 days from now. So if you've wanted to play that on console, there you go. The next few look really cool to me. Cool announcement here. This is Subnautica 2, baby.
No.
Sequel to the scariest game I've ever played in my life. But man, I love Subnautica. I have the platinum. I have the what's the other one called? Something Frozen Abyss or something. It's not like 2, it's like 1.5 basically. I need to finish that one. I think Subnautica is excellent as like a survival and crafting game, and is also incredibly scary if you have any fear of the ocean, because there are big monsters down there, and they're not very nice. But Subnautica 2 adds co-op, I think up to 4 players. And so I might be able to handle that a little better with some friends in there.
Yeah, it kind of sounds fun,
I don't know,
actually.
Yeah, a lot more pumped about that. It's coming to early access next year and Xbox Game Preview. So it should be, I think, free for Game Pass members to try when it comes to early access next year. So Subnautica 2. Next one is called Wheel World. This one will be day one on Game Pass in early 2025. It's an open world exploration and racing cycling game. Very cool artwork. I think that's probably the coolest part of it to me. I like a good like minimalist racing game. So I don't know. It might be great. I have a game that is called Lonely Mountain Downhill or something. That's a mountain biking game where you're like setting time trial, like you're trying to beat your own time down these hills. That one is really fun and excellent. I don't know that like a cycling one that's more on roads would be quite as fun, but I don't know. Looks cool.
This looks like Dungeons of Hinterberg, pretty much.
Yeah, very similar, kind of halfway cell shaded. I like cell shading when it's done well. I think it looks really unique. So, anyways, that's a Wheel World, early 2025. And then the last one they showed, this game's been shown before, but this was a new trailer for a game called, I don't know how to pronounce this, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. And again, I don't know a ton about this one. It looks like a Souls-like, and it also kind of looks like Wukong, Black Myth Wukong, in my opinion. And yeah, it's coming to Xbox next year. I think this trailer was just... No, I think it does have gameplay in it, actually. A lot of it is cinematic, though. If you scrub through, Devin, I think you'll find some moments of fighting. You play as this female character, and yeah, it very much looks like a kind of a Souls game with an emphasis on dodging and parrying and stuff. Big creepy monsters, and yeah, that's what it looks like to me. But anyways, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. So they showed a couple other little things in there. There a couple JRPGs that I didn't know what they were, and so I just didn't really include them. But that was the Xbox partner preview for kind of a not major showcase, just kind of a minor one. I thought some pretty cool things. Subnautica 2 and Remedy's new game, showing that co-op version of Control. I mean, that's really cool. The Bloober game looks like it could be a cool one. Animal Well coming out is the best news there, but just for me though. But all right. After that, we have a few more bits of video game news here, just rounding out our news mini nuke. Release date was finally given for a game a lot of people have been excited for called Metal Slug Tactics. Metal Slug is a very pretty, like a Contra-like game that came out probably in the 90s. I've played a few of them, and they're very fun, very hard, very violent. Like you shoot people and they like blood goes everywhere. And they were in arcades and stuff, I believe. This is a tactics version, so it's on a grid, and you're tactically moving your units around. Tactics games are very hot right now, so it makes sense that they would kind of put their game in this genre as well. Comes out on November. Where's my date? November 5th. So if you've been looking forward to that one, it's been announced for a couple of years now, I think. So cool to have that date. There was a little, they called it a showcase for Monster Hunter Wilds. I think it was just this new trailer they showed. The trailer's like 5, 6, 7 minutes long. Shows a new area, new like boss called Black Flame or something. Yeah, the Black Flame. Game continues to look cool, but also weird, and like I am already lost just watching it. But I know a lot of people are excited about this one. I would maybe like to get into a Monster Hunter like game. I just don't know if this is the best starting point. But anyways, trailer looks cool. The biggest announcements from this little trailer was that there is an open beta coming on Halloween. So on the 31st of this month, you can play the open beta from 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific Daylight Time through November 4th. So what's that, like 4 days-ish? If you're playing on PlayStation 5 and have PlayStation Plus, then you can join 3 days earlier on October 28th. So they seem to have some kind of a marketing and exclusive rights with Sony, so you can join that a few days earlier on PlayStation. But it looks cool. I like the monster designs. They're very unique. Like this one's swinging from these like lava pipes. Yeah. Again, it seems coming from games like From Software's games where bosses have like they have like tells, like, okay, I know he's about to attack and I know where I need to dodge, kind of, even though I don't have a lot of time to make that decision. I don't know what this monster is going to do just by looking at it. And I don't feel like they have like a fully consistent like fighting system. I think a lot of these games is kind of scouting and learning about the monster before you fight it. And so like, okay, he's probably fire focused, or I don't know, does this and this. These are his weak points. This is how he might attack, so that you go in with some knowledge or something. But anyways, might be one to try. Comes out in February of next year, but open beta, Halloween or 3 days early on the 28th on PlayStation. Two more little things. No Man's Sky got its 16th expansion, I think today, called The Cursed. And it has a few different things. There's this new starship. I can't remember what it's called. Kind of looks like a haunted Millennium Falcon, kind of a round disc-shaped starship. There are some new enemies, a new bioluminescent pets, it said, and I think a cursed expedition going on for the next 2 weeks. There's also like these big freighter fights, like those huge lasers coming out of that huge haunted freighter. Super cool looking. This is a game that I continue to like feel this pull to be like, man, it seems like it would be really fun to get in there, earn 50 million credits, buy this huge freighter, and inside my freighter have 10 of my favorite ships, and I've built bases on 20 planets, and I'm like trading with all these people, and you know, I know all kinds of cool stuff like that.
But you want to stay married.
But that too, and I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. It's quite a bit of a learning curve. It reminds me of Minecraft, because when you get into the game, if you're not playing on creative mode, which again, it has a creative mode like Minecraft, you have to like learn all the recipes. Like, okay, if I add carbon and lithium together, it creates this, and I need these things to make metal, which will help me make my spaceship. And there's like different alien races and languages and stuff, so it's kind of a lot. But another expansion there. Then Towers of Agazba, which has been shown before, just got a release date for its early access period. It's coming to early access on PS5 on November 19th for $30. And in this game, you're playing as this character, and it does have some co-op functionality, and you're rebuilding these like colorful cities out in this like tarnished wasteland, and then you have to go out into the wasteland and fight off monsters and bosses to kind of reclaim territories. That's a cool vibe. The movement and like the combat looks like it might be a tiny bit janky, just the way that the character moves, but I really like that big like skeleton boss looking dude. It has a lot of focus on like farming and crafting. You build up these big cities and ride your horse like by, and you're like, oh, I built that city. So it's very much like a big, again, No Man's Sky type of game where like, hey, we're building this cool stuff together, and then we go fight these monsters together, and then we're exploring together. But I like the art style. Might be cool. That is Towers of Agazba early access on PlayStation 5 on November 19th. Okay, that's all the smaller announcements this week. So for new games to subscription services, there's only two things I want to call out here, because everything else I think we've already gone over for the month of October for in other weeks. If you have Nintendo Online, they I don't think this is the first time they've done it, but it's very rare. They're doing a game trial period where you can try 3 games completely for free, and it's the full game. There's no like time limit or cap on it. Those 3 games are a puzzle game called A Little to the Left, where you're trying to like solve these puzzles like kind of in like a regular house and like a kitchen setting and some other things. It's supposed to be pretty good. A funny like cartoony golf game called Cursed to Golf, which is fun. I have that one. And then Vampire Survivors, which I also have and just bought again on PlayStation because I wanted to play it and get trophies. And Vampire Survivors is absolutely phenomenal. You should definitely play that one if you have Nintendo Online. And these games are free for a week, it looks like, from the 23rd, which is today, until the 30th, which is next Wednesday. So by the time you're hearing this, you might only have a few days left, depending on when you listen. So make sure you play those while you've got your little free period. You might figure out, oh, I love Vampire Survivors. What, the game's only $5? Yeah, I will definitely buy it now and play it for the rest of my life, like most people.
Exactly.
So anyways, there's that. And then the Epic Game Store has their one free game this week, and it is a game called Moving Out, which very much has Overcooked vibes, but instead of being chefs in a kitchen and everything going wrong in the kitchen, you are a moving company trying to help people move stuff out of their house, and you might accidentally throw looks like a piano into a swimming pool or a couch out the window. Kind of the same vibe, though, that they're going for here. Looks silly. I know that our cousin loves Overcooked, and I feel like he maybe tried this one and didn't like it quite as much, but it's hard. Coming from Overcooked, which is the king of this genre, I think, it's probably hard to find others that stand up to that. But I don't know. I think it looks kind of fun. I like the art style, and anyways, that's Moving Out. It's free on the Epic Game Store. All right, Devin, that was a bit of David talking, so I'm going to let you go first here on the next section for what we have been playing. Well, actually, I'll go first really quick since mine are just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So 2 games that I've been talking about forever. I'm still playing UFO 50, just slowly making my way through some of those games. We won't talk about it much more until I have like some big, I don't know, section to talk about. Played some more Balatro, still amazing. Just love it. Just play Balatro. It's so good. And then actually my kids have been pulling me in to play Minecraft. They are both obsessed with Minecraft and they want me to play with them often. And I've played with them for quite a few hours and I get the appeal. You know, it's kind of fun. It just it's overwhelming in the same way that something like No Man's Sky is. It's like, okay, you're alone in this world, and then at night the monsters come out, so build a base and then try to get better stuff and mine. And then when you get down deeper, there's scarier monsters trying to hurt you, and but it has been fun. I've been focused on just being the resource generator of our little squad, so I'm just mining the whole time. And you know, found a lot of diamonds, redstone, iron, other things like that. And every time I find a diamond, my kids are like, "Let's go!" Just so pumped because I guess they're like really hard to find. And so then I just let them have them, and I just keep mining. So, anyways, a little bit of Minecraft too. Minecraft did just come to PlayStation 5, I think, yesterday. It's already been on PlayStation 4 for a long time, but anyways, those are, for video games at least, the 3 games that I've been playing. Devin, you've got some bigger, more October appropriate games that you'll probably cover here, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, first one we've talked about quite a bit. We don't need to go too deep into this, but the Silent Hill 2 remake. It's a fun game. It was a bit repetitive. A lot of puzzles. You can really ramp up the puzzle difficulty, which I think we talked about last week as well. I like that portion of it. The puzzles become extremely hard. You have to really think them through to get anywhere. The game was extremely expensive. I'll keep highlighting that. But fun game, beautiful graphics. Once you beat the game one time, you get a lot of different graphic modes to the game. I don't know if that is in this video here of me. It is not, but you can make the game look like a VHS tape covered in red, covered in green, black and white, all the fun stuff. The game was cool.
It has I was just going to say, it also gives you like a new weapon or two. I know that like when Resident Evil does that, I think you've played through them almost a full second time. It seemed like this one didn't have as much of a pull on you, where you were like, I'm not really as interested to run through it 2 or 3 times. Like with, I think Resident Evil Village, you maybe did 3 or 4 times.
I have, yes. The beauty of Resident Evil is once you beat it once, you get some credits for the main menu. Those credits can go towards a weapon or just 3D models, artwork, that type of thing, whatever you want. Mm-hmm. But what's cool about that is if you want to, I can get an unlimited ammo silenced pistol. And it's like, okay, this is going to be great. I'll be able to get through the sections I already know now much quicker. That is the issue with Resident Evil 2 is it gave you a chainsaw on the second run through, which is great for melee, but melee still takes a lot of time. There's still, it like pulls you into an animation every time you melee something. It doesn't really speed up your process. And you're still having to go, what hotel room had the one key to get to the next area? I don't remember. Let me relearn this whole section. It didn't really speed up the process for the second play.
Interesting.
And so it didn't motivate me too much. I guess if I dived more into the lore and the story and the relationships of the game, which people love, maybe I'd like to play it a couple more times. I don't know. But for now, there's so many games out there that we've kind of moved on. But fun game.
Yeah.
Decent game. I look forward to their Polish Resident Evil. Crazy game. Chronos. Yeah. Decent game, though. Honestly, I enjoyed it. Played another brand new horror game, which goes after...
I'm excited to see what you have to say about this one.
This is A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead. This is a game based on pretty much the movies of The Quiet Place. This game,
but it's a separate story, different characters.
Yes,
just set in that world.
This game is a patience builder. Absolutely janky, broken. It's fine. It's immersive. It's very, very slow. Right now, I'm trying to charge a flashlight to turn it on, and I get absolutely killed because I tried to charge a flashlight when there were no monsters by me. Little things like that are happening the entire game. If you step on the wrong twig, you're dead. If you breathe the wrong way, you're dead. If you take a bathroom break, you die. Anything you do in this game leads to your death. Even on the easiest setting, right now you'll see I'm crouching as slow as I can go. You have an environment sound level and your own sound level. You never want your own sound level to surpass the environment sound, or it's pretty much automatic death. They give you no way to escape that. There's no reason to ever sprint in this game, because if you do, you instantly die. It goes into a cutscene, basically. And I don't like that. I want to be able to look at an environment and say, this is my plan. I'm going to sprint through this section, hide under this crate. He's going to wander around. I'm going to throw a brick for distraction, jump through that window, the end. But instead, I have to go as slow as you can input the analog the entire game. The whole game. We beat the game today, and it's fine. Honestly, it's fine. Yeah, for people that love the movies, it's immersive. It's scary at times, startling. You're like, whoa, where'd that monster come from? It's intense. But as far as game mechanics go and gameplay, I would have honestly rather just watched a movie. Because it was immersive and it was beautiful and the graphics were decent and the monsters were cool. But to play the game was extremely exhausting, in my opinion. I give this like a 6 out of 10 at the end of the day, probably.
Yeah. No, I think you hit everything right on the head. I haven't played it, obviously, but just watching you play, that's kind of the vibe I got from it too. I like it when games allow me to like feel smart and try something and see if it works. This one seemed much too simple with the monster's AI. Monster looks cool. Like, he's big and like threatening looking and like scary to be around. So like I feel like they nailed a lot of things. But the two things that bugged me the most were how still the hands held. I mean, for a lot of those sections, when you're holding two things out, those hands are just like absolutely frozen.
Oh, even while I'm moving?
Like even while you're moving and stuff. That was just a little nitpick. But the other one is just, there's no room for like experimentation. Like, let me throw a brick over there and have it be distracted for a few sections. So then even if I do make a little bit of noise, it's fine. Because I've made a distraction, which rewards me as the player for being creative and smart. But instead, this one forces you to play it exactly one way, which is
pretty much.
I must crouch, I must sneak, I can't try anything cool or creative. I'm just crawling to the next objective point, basically.
Yeah, they introduced things like flares and bricks and bottles that you could throw for distraction, but the distraction lasts for such a small amount of time. And if while the distraction is happening, you decide to sprint a little, you're just screwed. And so it really isn't exciting. It wasn't exciting to use what they gave you in the game, right? Because it didn't really do anything for you.
Yeah, the distraction got the dude to move, but while he was moving to the distraction, and even from much farther away from you, it doesn't make a difference, because if he hears you above that threshold, it's still boop, cutscene triggers, and he's on you, killing you.
No escape. Yeah, and the game doesn't auto-save all the time, so sometimes you'll die in a really frustrating way, and then you have to replay the last 6 minutes. And it's like, man, I just had to crouch those last 6 minutes. I don't want to re-crouch through this area. The game was fine. I'm glad it wasn't a full-priced game. Fun to be in the world of A Quiet Place. Kind of spooky. It's interesting. I've never in a game ever so softly pushed an analog stick ever. It would shock you at how soft you have to press those to open a door quiet enough.
I wonder if, and this is just the reality of streaming, if you were playing it by yourself and you turned on, the main feature that people are talking about for this game is that audio recognition, that the microphone on the DualSense will pick up how loud you are being if you have the setting turned on, and that will also get picked up in your sound machine, and so you have to be quiet even when you're nervous and stuff. That's a cool idea, but again, I feel like the rest of the creature's artificial intelligence just makes that feature less fun, because again, if I hit over that threshold, it's just immediate death. I hope that this team gets to try again and make another game, because it seems like it's reviewed okay with some sites. And if with a sequel they could make the creature a little smarter, make it still as scary, but I feel like Alien Isolation, just the alien was a little bit of a more smarter and responsive AI than this one, where you could sometimes like run and hide somewhere and be okay in Alien Isolation, or you like use the flamethrower for a second and it'll scare it off for like 20 seconds. Or, you've got a little more wiggle room in that kind of play space to be creative and kind of outsmart the game. Whereas here there's no outsmarting it. It's just crouch. So anyways, I just took over your whole segment.
No, you're good.
It was a game I haven't played, but
it was great input. The game's fine. I wouldn't recommend it to a friend though, to be honest. It's
unless
okay.
it's $5.
Here is one I would recommend to a friend. This was Bloomhouse's new game with a super strange art style. Chat was calling it polygonal.
Polygonal.
Polygonal. Really, really weird art style. You can adjust the camera shake and how much kind of fuzz you're seeing, that type of thing. This game was kind of cool. It's about two friends who are at a school, I believe, and they decide to tamper with an Ouija board. Some scary stuff. And you play as the one friend who doesn't get owned by the Ouija board at first, and you go through the school and you're finding puzzles, and the puzzles are hard enough to solve, but easy enough to understand. You're doing a little bit of searching for items and valves to open things, and there's a bit of notes in the game, and the frame rate in this game is actually super high, which I enjoyed. It feels nice and smooth. The characters are funny looking. That's just cute, but kind of creepy in a way. This is the first section we did.
Vintage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really does look super cool. I'm gonna skip forward to when we are the other girl in the scarier place, because this is much darker. But this is the second story. Once you beat the game once, you get to play as the girl who basically got abducted by the board or whatever happened to her, and her story. And then it all kind of collectively they connect at the end, and you kind of see how it plays out. A few puzzles, and the puzzles were fun, kind of difficult. This puzzle was very interesting. You had to break these little statues in a specific order based on like 5 little descriptions of who ended up leaving this girl's life or breaking her heart first, and then you had to leave some of them alive. And then this puzzle here on this door, you had to look through a window and actually see kind of the scratch marks of the code being used so that you knew what the code was. Fun puzzles, fun little demons and things that are chasing you. There was this character with a massive light on its head, kind of like someone in chat said it was like who's that guy? What's the name? Siren Head. Yeah, have you seen those videos? Kind of like him, kind of creepy. Super fun game. I recommend this game to anybody that just wants a little bit of puzzles and a little bit of horror in their life. It honestly is fun. It played well. Not too many issues. We did run into one section where I got a little bit lost for a second, but other than that, it was pretty flawless. You have a very simple screen for all of your items in the game, and inventory management was pretty simple, and understanding where to use a key you would find. And
Yeah.
I only have
Yeah, I
good
really
things to
liked
say
watching
about
this
it,
one.
honestly.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, watching you play, I agree. I love kind of this retro horror vibe. This one obviously plays a lot smoother than like older Resident Evil games and stuff, but it's definitely trying to mimic some of those with. And sorry, there's a train going by honking, but with puzzles that are a little bit obscure, and you have to use weird items and like a radio station and stuff. I love that part of it. The game's not incredibly long. It is only $20, so that's so everyone knows the price point. At full price, it's $20. Just came out this week. So eventually it'll be much cheaper, and I think this has me a lot more excited for Blumhouse's other games, because I think they announced like 4 or 5 all in the same showcase that are all like different horror games in different art styles and different just different styles of horror games. When you were finishing the first story, I was like, man, like 2.5 hour game, that seems a little crazy. But what a cool, it's not really a twist, but kind of was cool that they didn't tell you didn't get to choose like play as Amy or play as Vivian. It was just start game and you're playing as Vivian, and then the game ends and then a new menu pops in to the start screen that's like play Amy's story. And I thought that was really cool. Like, it made a game that seemed like, dang it, it's going to end a little too early, even though it's only $20. But then it basically doubled the amount of time. The sections were pretty different. The characters were a little different. Like, Amy has the lockpick here, which was used quite a bit, and Vivian, I can't remember what her differentiating factor was, but she was in the school. You were in a different environment here, so it kind of felt like 2 cool games kind of put together in one story. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think even though I watched probably 50% of your playthrough here, I think I'm still going to play it just because it seemed cool. I want to try and get all the trophies. And yeah, this is about the threshold of David with horror games. So this is a good one for me.
It's a perfect one. Highly recommended. That is Fear the Spotlight by Blumhouse. And that is about it for me. I mean, I tapped into some other games. I tapped into a game called Siren, which was free. It was very hard to play.
That one
super
also
weird.
Just released this week.
Did we play anything else? Hello Neighbor. Is that what that was called? Goodbye Neighbor.
Yeah, I think that was the second one, maybe.
Yeah, we played it for a second. It seemed like the frame rate was super smooth, but I didn't really give it a chance. But other than that, those are the video games I have been playing.
Cool. All right, for board games this last week, Devin, I played 3. The first one is one I think you will really like. It is called Ancient Knowledge. It came out last year from Yellow Games. We talked about them earlier in the show. And it's a card game with this cool kind of theme. It's almost themeless. It's mostly about the cards, but the theme is that you're building these monuments throughout history, and then slowly they fall back in time and eventually are kind of forgotten and are in the past. And when you build a monument, it has these knowledge tokens that get built on top of it, on top of your board. And you need to pull all of those knowledge tokens off of those monuments to symbolize you learning the necessary knowledge from them before they're too far in the past. Or else when they fall off slot 1 and fall off the left side of your board, any tokens that are still on that card go into your lost knowledge spot, that little white section of your board there, and are -1 point each at the end of the game. Very cool puzzle that way. You're playing cards into those 6 slots at the top, and the cards let you do different things. I won't get too in depth with it. I do have a playthrough of this game, at least the solo playthrough. The base game is only for 2 to 4 players, but the new Heritage expansion, which is only like $12 or $13, adds 2 different solo modes. What they call it? It's not competition, a challenge mode, and then kind of a roguelite Heritage mode where you draw some like challenge cards, and decide how many of those 5 cards you're going to try and accomplish that run. And then if you do accomplish them, then you get to slot those under your board for the next session, and they become like a special ability to help you accomplish the next set. And then that session goes into the next one, goes into the next one, until you either complete all 15 and win, or if you ever don't complete one of those cards, you lose and are supposed to start back over, Spelunky style in a board game. I just played one of the one-shot challenges as opposed to that heritage mode, but yeah, a very cool card game. Again, it has a cool theme with like the historical monuments and civilization like stuff on it, and I like the idea of whenever you put a card out, it has a little number there with a number of knowledge tokens that get set on the card. And then every turn, every card shifts to the left. So if it starts in slot 3, in 3 turns, it's falling off your board. And so you've got that many turns to get all those tokens off. Very cool system. There are also these purple cards called artifact cards, and you have up to 5 slots for them. And they give you some unique ability that will give you different abilities than the other people playing. So you can kind of create your own little engine there. I had that card actually, where if you discard a card, then you can draw a new card. So they give you just some special abilities. It's cool that you get to determine what those are yourself instead of them being like pre-printed on the boards. I get to decide what my bonus powers are going to be. So Ancient Knowledge, really cool card game. It's fun solo in the Heritage expansion. I recommend that, and I'm excited to play it. It's supposed to be better at like 2 or 3. At 4, I think it starts to get a little long before it gets back to your turn. On the box, this is 30 minutes per player. So I think this is one that we'll try at 2 players, Devin. I think you'll like it. So that is Ancient Knowledge. Cool one from Yellow Games. Next up, I played a little card game. I can't remember if I talked about this one last week, but it's called Flip 7. It's pretty brand new. They actually sent me a copy. They said, hey, we can see this game's on your wish list. We'd love to send you a copy. I was like, okay, cool. And yeah, it's pretty fun. It's basically like, what do they call that? Blackjack? And I don't know a ton about games in a casino, but in Blackjack, you're trying to get to 21, right? And you either tell the dealer that you're done, you're going to stop at 17 or whatever, or you tell them, hit me, and they'll give you another card. But you don't want to bust and go over 21 or else you're out. This game has a similar feel where one player will be the dealer each round, and they will give you one card to start. And in the deck, there are 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s, 9 9s, all the way down to 1 1. And then there's also a 0. And then there's these special cards that, there's like a ×2 multiplier, or +4 or +10 to your score. And then there's 3 special ones. Second Chance, which if you ever did bust, you can discard that instead of busting. Flip 3 makes you or another player that you give it to flip 3 cards immediately, much more likely that they will bust. Or Freeze, which lets you freeze yourself or another player. They bank all their points and are out of the round. The way that you bust is when it gets back around to your turn and you're supposed to get a new card, you can either pass and be out of the round and bank your points, or you can say, hit me. The dealer will give you another card. If you ever get 2 cards of the same number, you bust. So 12s are really good because they're worth 12 points, but there's 12 of them in the deck, so you're more likely to bust with 12s. Very simple game. You can play it in 10 minutes. The goal is you play a number of rounds until one player gets to 200 points, and whoever does that wins. You could, if you wanted an even shorter game, make it a race to 100 points or whatever. But yeah, just a very simple press your luck game. If you like pressing your luck and little card games that you could play with basically anyone, this is one that's like basically as simple as Uno. You could really teach it to anyone, your grandma. Then I think that one it's a pretty popular one this year. So Flip 7 is a good time. And then I played Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth again. It's an excellent 2-player game. Devin and I are definitely going to play this one. I think he'll really enjoy it. Just that Lord of the Rings theme on there is just so fun. I'm really into Lord of the Rings right now. Just rewatched the trilogy, about to start The Hobbit, and just finished Rings of Power Season 2, and we're going to start that over again and watch 1 and 2. with our neighbors who have never seen Rings of Power or The Hobbit. So just full blown Lord of the Rings over here. And yeah, just a really fun game. On your turn, you just take one of the available cards and it lets you do something. It might give you some gold or let you put some troops out on the board or move Frodo or move the Ring Wraith closer to Frodo. And there's basically 3 different win conditions. If you're playing as the good guys, then if Frodo gets to Mount Doom, you win. If you get a green support card from all 6 races in Middle-earth, the what are they? The elves, the hobbits, the humans, the dwarves, the ents, and the wizards, then you win. So 6 green cards with different symbols on them. Or if you have one of your troops in all 7 regions of Middle-earth. So there's kind of this little battle on this area control board as well. But it's a very simple battle to administer. Your pieces can move around on some lines. But they just look really cool. There's orcs and the free peoples of Middle-earth, and it looks great. It's just an excellent 30-minute 2-player game. It's I really, really love it. So that's Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. I will have a review up on my channel for this one pretty soon. Just want to play it a couple more times. My only, I don't even know if this is a negative, but the only thing I'm thinking about that might be a negative, the game feels so well balanced, which isn't like a bad thing. You want games to be balanced. But it seems almost balanced so perfectly that the game almost always crescendos to, okay, at almost the end of the 3rd chapter of the game, someone's going to barely win. It doesn't feel like... And so I'm nervous that I'm making these cool decisions and it's fun and I'm taking cards and doing things, but do those actions I'm choosing make much of a difference if we always get to the end and it's the last card or 2 that make somebody win? I don't know. That's the only negative in my head. Because again, I think it needs to be balanced, and I don't know how you overcome this because we want games to be balanced, and now I'm saying it's too balanced. What does that mean? That's the only thing I'm thinking about. I think it's really fun. Really awesome artwork by Vincent Dutray, who does some of the most beautiful board game artwork out there. Just really love it. Just obsessed with Lord of the Rings, and this is a great 2-player card game. So anyways, those are 3 excellent games. I would recommend all 3 of those. Probably to different people. Flip 7, anyone could play. Then Lord of the Rings Duel. I think almost anyone could play, but it's a little more involved. And then Ancient Knowledge is more complex than both of them. But all right. That's going to do it for what we've been playing. So for what we're looking forward to this week, I have 4 video games that I just purchased that I'm very excited to play. Vampire Survivors I've already played before, but I just bought it on PlayStation because it was on sale for $4 instead of $5. And I was like, oh, shoot, now's my time.
What a deal.
So I bought that. Yeah. And it's excellent. I think the game has over 200 trophies in the trophy list, which is bonkers. I don't know how they let them get away with that, to be honest, but I'm very excited to play it and earn trophies for it because it is such an addicting game. I don't even know. It's amazing.
Does it have multiplayer or no?
You should definitely try it. I think it does.
Really?
I haven't tried.
Oh, new local co-op.
It definitely
right there.
has local co-op. So we can play it on SharePlay. I don't know if it has online. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's so fun. It doesn't look like it would be fun because it's just basically you moving around and powering up and these weapons are flying all over the screen, but it's a blast. And then 3 more games. I got Wizard with a Gun. This is kind of like Don't Starve mixed with Enter the Gungeon, which are 2 games that I absolutely adore. So I've wanted this one for a while. It was on sale this week too, so I'm excited to try that one. This one does have online co-op, Devin, so I thought this one would be a fun one to play. Even we could do a late night stream or something, play it together, or record something for the YouTube channel or something. I think that would be a fun one. Next is Arranger. This is a puzzle game. I think it's called Arranger, the role-playing puzzle game or something. And in this one, you're moving this character by sliding this grid of blocks, kind of like a slide puzzle. And the artwork was done by the same artist that did the artwork in the game Braid. Just absolutely beautiful, and I love puzzle games. So again, this one was on sale for $15 instead of $20, and I was like, oh, now's my time. They get me with these like, oh, 10% off. Oh, heck yeah. And then I want to play Fear the Spotlight, which Devin already talked about it here. But a fun, kind of halfway scary indie game. I think it was made by a team of 2 people, which so cool that they were able to make a game that's 6 hours long, has kind of a fun set of trophies that you can unlock, a cool story, has voice acting. Like the graphics are pretty good, and like Devin said, the frame rate's good. The controls and everything work great. So yeah, I hope this means that Blumhouse's other games are also going to be of that higher quality level, because for a $20 game that was 6 hours long, I think you enjoyed that more than, at least like when I think about like how much for my dollars per hour as a $20 game. Let's say you played it for 5 hours, Devin. That's probably about accurate. So $4 an hour. Did you enjoy those $4 an hour more or less than the, let's see, probably $6 an hour? Maybe it's about the same. Maybe it's $4 or $5 an hour you played A Quiet Place, and then maybe the $10 an hour that you played Silent Hill 2. Those are kind of the things I think about. So I don't mind if a game is, even $10 an hour. If that game had been 2 or 3 hours long, I still would have played it and probably enjoyed it. But I think at 5 hours for $20, that's a pretty good deal. I'm rambling at this point, but any video games, Devin, this week that you're excited to try?
The only one I can think of is just, we talked about earlier, early access of Monster Hunter, maybe on the 28th. I might try that, actually.
Yeah, I'm guessing that will be a hot thing on streaming platforms, so it might be smart for you, and it'd help you get a good taste probably for the game and see if it's something that you would like. So yeah, that might be cool. 28th, what's that? Monday, maybe?
Pretty soon.
Maybe Tuesday. Math, who knows? All right, for board games, I'm most excited about one, so I'm just going to talk about that one. I have some others that I'm excited to play too, but this game is brand spanking new, just barely delivering. Mine's in transit from North Carolina. It will be here on Monday, according to USPS, but we'll see. Maybe it'll get here early. That would be wonderful. This game is called Ironwood. It's from Mind Clash Games. They generally make pretty complex, heavier, like long games. But this one is a 2-player only game about 2 different factions in this forest. Kind of reminds me of Root in like the forest map with these lanes through these like different pathways in the forest. But it's a lot simpler than Root. And the 2 factions play very differently. One faction is kind of the faction that's always lived in this forest. And I think one of the coolest parts of this game is how they make even the pieces seem different. So that faction is all focused on wood and like one with the trees and nature. So all of the pieces for that faction are wooden. And then the other faction is a faction that is like the steel faction that's coming into the forest to try to take the resources from it. They have this big steel like mining drill that they move around the board in order to like tear down some bits of the forest and take resources out of it. And all of that faction's pieces are metal. Just a cool touch there that the pieces are actually like different colors like that. And both of these factions have slightly different win conditions. It's not like Root where it's like way crazy and each player is playing a different game, but you have slightly different win conditions. You're playing cards in order to move your troops around, and that, yeah, the player that's the metal, I haven't read the rulebook, so I don't know a lot of the terms I'm trying to say here, but the player that plays as the metal clan is trying to build like these factories, and the other player's trying to destroy them and also like extract maybe their leaders off of the map or something. And I'm very pumped for this one. I love a good 2-player game. I think the aesthetic is awesome. And it's supposed to be excellent. So this is the one I'm most excited to play with you, actually, Devin. So we'll see when it gets here. That'll be a good time. So that's Ironwood, due to be here imminently, and I'll have an unboxing and probably a playthrough with somebody in the coming days. Woo! So that's what we're looking forward to. All right, Devin, for news this week, there's only 2 video game items, and then we're getting to crowdfunding corner, and then we'll be out of here. after the closing segment. The 2 video game items. First one is September's video game sales data is out. And so I'm just going to read the top 20 games in order of sales for the month of September. And then if any of them stand out to us, maybe we'll note it. But number 1 was EA Sports Football Club 25. Number 2, Astrobot 3. Madden NFL 25. Then The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. EA Sports College Football 25. Just that college football game has sold so much. Star Wars Outlaws. NBA 2K25. Hogwarts Legacy, just continuing to sell so many units. Crazy. NHL 25. God of War Ragnarok. I think that one either just announced it's coming to PC or just did release on PC, so that's probably why. Dead Rising, which just had its like remaster. Final Fantasy 16, Elden Ring, the expansion's probably helping there. Minecraft, again launching on the PlayStation 5 launch being imminent, probably helped that. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Age of Mythology, Space Marine 2, Ghost of Tsushima. I wonder if the Ghost of Yotai trailer helped that. And EA Sports MVP bundle. So anyways, just looking at it, I think the big winner this month is probably Astrobot, where you've got EA Sports and Madden right there in 1 and 3, but those games are on every platform basically and are kind of known quantities that sell like crazy. And Astrobot only on PlayStation 5 at number 2. I think that's a big win. And then Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, at number 4. Those were the 2 that stood out the most to me. I thought Space Marine 2 might be higher because it had quite a bit of buzz last month when it came out. It at least got on the top 20, so it must have done pretty well. And I think they even announced that it's well surpassed the first one and is doing really well. So I think they said that. I might be pulling a fake article out of my head. But anyways, those were the 2 that stood out. Astrobot just murdering. And I think that's good because that game deserves it.
The one game that stands out to me is Star Wars Outlaws, with how much criticism it got based on pre-release videos and different things. I don't know how it's selling so well.
Yeah. Ubisoft has kind of committed to it a bit more and said, like, sorry, we're going to work on fixing some of those things. I think they even delayed their next game a few months. I don't remember what game it was, in order to give some more time and room for the next few patches for Star Wars Outlaws to come out. So yeah, I hope they're giving it the attention it deserves. And it seems like that might be helping, going from number 3 on the list last month to number 6 this month. It seems like it's selling pretty well. So anyways, last up, this is kind of a bummer to me. A really cool game came out earlier this year called Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's a colorful and awesome Metroidvania game in the Prince of Persia world. It has really awesome boss fights that deal with perspective. Like there's a snake boss that'll go like in and out of the depth of the 2D playing field, and really cool boss fights. That video is kind of boring, Devin. It's just him talking in French, I think.
It was.
But it's in that video that I think this producer of the game says that their team has been kind of shattered, basically, or what's the word? Disbanded. None of them were fired, but they've all been put on other Ubisoft projects. Someone else said that they had pitched a sequel to Ubisoft, like, hey, this game seems to be doing pretty well. We just had a DLC pack come out that's like a new little expansion level and some stuff. But they were turned down on making more DLC or a sequel, so they've all been punted to other teams. So I thought that was a bummer. Lost Crown's really great. If you haven't played it, I think it's a really fun, modern Metroidvania game. So just wanted to give that a shout out as being both a bummer, but also a shout out to a cool game. Okay, Devin, that brings us to crowdfunding corner for the week of October. It's going to be 25th when this goes live. There's a million games in crowdfunding. I chose 6 this week that I thought looked pretty solid. And let's see how much I know about them. Some of them I know very little about, but 10 years ago, a game came out called Above and Below. This game is actually made by a company called Red Raven Games, and I believe they're based in Utah. The creator's name is Ryan Lockett, and he is pretty famous in the board game world because of this game, its sequel, which I have behind me, called Near and Far. It's not really a sequel, but the next game that came out. And then Sleeping Gods is his most recent one, and I think there's even a Sleeping Gods 2.0 kind of. He does, I don't know how he has any time to do this, but he designs the game and he does all the artwork himself. And these games come with a lot of story, like a big storybook, and at certain points you'll read like sections, and there will be like skill checks and things. And he also writes the story. He probably has a bigger team now with that like help him with that, but I think with these initial first few games he did everything. This game came out I think 10 years ago, and so on the anniversary of Above and Below, they are releasing a standalone expansion. They sometimes call it the dumbest name ever, Expand Alone or Expansion Loan. It's one of those. It's dumb. A game you can play without the original or pair it with the original if you want to. So that's Above and Below. It has these characters that I think they live in this town above and then go down into the mines below, hence the name. And it's a pretty simple Euro game, again, with a lot of those story elements that you will read. So you can get lots of bonus things. They have a treasure chest with, that's what they call it here, this treasure chest box that has nice, like big wooden pieces and metal coins. But this one's probably going to be pretty hot because his games are a big deal when they come out in the hobby board game world. So Above and Below Haunted, it's on GameFound and ends on the 28th, which I think is Monday. So check that one out. Next up, this one looks very interesting. It hasn't gotten very much buzz, but I thought the idea looked cool. You play in this game called Ultra Massive as a black hole. And your goal with the black hole is to suck in as much matter as you can, kind of in these rings, paths that will lead into the black hole, just like a black hole does. And as you absorb more and more matter, then the size of the black hole will grow. And you have this little like black hole card that goes over top the board. And as it grows, then the new matter that joins the board will have fewer spaces it needs to move in order to be absorbed. I think there's a little bit of like engine building with the cards that you choose to play, and it has a minimalist kind of cool art style in my opinion. I don't know much more about how the game plays, but that is like a cool idea there where you're consuming this matter. And then I think if you scroll down just a little bit more, Devin, it shows you like change the size of your black hole at different points, and kind of cool idea. I like that visual representation of that's a feeling you usually get in an engine building game where like I'm not very powerful at the beginning of the game, but then towards the end of the game I'm doing crazier and crazier stuff. And just watching that black hole get bigger seems kind of cool. So that is Ultra Massive. It's on Kickstarter until the 30th of October. Next up is a very small solo game called Mini Moons. And in this game, you're trying to rescue 5 cats from the moon, which is very random, but you could kind of ignore the theme if you wanted to. Basically, it's a puzzle game where you are going to these different moons, and you have to explore and mine these different caves, and you have these cards that you will track your resources on. And then at different caves, you can, if you have a a cat treat, basically a certain kind of resource, then you can attract a cat out, and you have to win the solo scenario, you have to get a certain number of cats out before the end. After you get a cat, then you get that cat's card, and each cat will give you a different kind of bonus power as well. And so you shuffle this deck, it's going to be set up a little bit differently. The planets are small and large, and they're set up in this ring of cards. Small planets, I think, have 6 cards with 5 mining cards in the middle, and then bigger planets have 8 and 7. And you're moving around to the different planets on the outside cards and sometimes mining in, and you get to flip over the resource cards in the middle. Very kind of creative, in my opinion, like a way to do like a game that feels bigger than it would just be in a little tin. Even though those are cards, it looks like almost a little circle planet board. And then, oh, I've got this bigger planet board over here because it's in like a circle shape. So even though it seems pretty simple, you're moving around, it's more of like a spatial puzzle. You have to spend different resources in order to move. So you have to be efficient in how you do things. But wanted to give it a shout out for originality and shoving what looks like a bigger game in this tiny, tiny little mint tin. I think it's $19 as well. They do have a neoprene mat if you wanted to get that, but that obviously will not fit in the mint tin. So anyways, that one is Many Moons. It's on Kickstarter for one more week until the 30th as well. Okay, next up is a game called Bat Flip Dynasty. This is a game where you are kind of the general manager of a baseball team. And it reminds me of this game I have behind me called Basket Boss, where you're the manager of a basketball team and you are auctioning for different players to fill out your roster. In this game, you choose a team, and I think there are 12 different teams that come in the game, and each team has 12 cards that are like that team's deck. Then you'll shuffle it up and you'll draw some players, and then you'll play up to 5 like out in front of you as your team for the season. Then you roll some dice, and I couldn't quite tell, I didn't read the full rule book, but I think you can do some re-rolls, maybe similar to Yahtzee. And you place those dice on the different player cards, either exactly matching or only somewhat matching. And if they're exactly matching, you place them like a flush parallel to the bottom of the card. If they're only somewhat matching, then you kind of twist it. You can kind of keep track of that. And depending on how many dice you're able to get on your players will dictate how many wins you got that season. And then if you got at least a certain number of wins in the season, then you get a trophy for winning your division. Then you go to like a really quick playoff round where everyone rolls those dice that are on their players. And whoever gets the best rolls from that wins the playoffs and gets another trophy. And then you go to your next season and you have like these rookie cards that you can then decide if you want to cut someone else from your roster in order for them to become part of your baseball team. Each team has like plays differently. Some teams, they definitely are like have little nods to baseball. I think the Yankees are like the money hats in this game. It's like the team that has the biggest salary. And so that team has more money to work with because you have to pay money to get your players out. But other teams have like other advantages where they will have more rookies that will get better from in later seasons and stuff. So 12 different teams, which I thought was really cool. And the goal is to just get the most of those trophies to show that your dynasty was the best over the seasons. I can't remember exactly how many seasons you play. It might be 5, but they're pretty quick. And you're putting new players in your roster, potentially rolling again to see how many wins you get for the season, and then doing the playoffs. Cool little idea there. This is a sequel to another game they did called Bat Flip. That one was a bit different. It was a 2-player card game, where this one also has cards, but has dice and is quite a bit different. So Bat Flip Dynasty on Kickstarter until the 31st of this month. All right, 2 more. This one is called Zoo and More Card Game Compendium. And it's basically, there was this trick-taking game that came out last year, I think, called Short Zoot Suit, which is a very weird name, but it got a lot of buzz, reviewed very well from some very well-known people online, like the Dice Tower loved it. And they are releasing that game again and 3 others in this box. And they, I think, had 3 or 4 different genres they were trying to kind of make creative spins on. So Short Zoot Suit is a trick-taking game One of the other ones is like a climbing and shedding game, and there were a couple other genres for these 4 games. So the box contains all 4 games and like a little slot for the deck of cards that goes with each game. There's 324 cards in that box. And then you can play one of those 4 games, or they have a 5th, what they call meta game, that you play using all 4 decks, which is kind of like a crazy mishmash. Definitely not the highlight. The highlight is that Zoot Suit game being printed again, and the other 3 being included. So kind of a weird mishmash of 4 different little card games with very strange but kind of like unique art on them, all being put kind of together in one box. So I know some people are excited about this one. I really want to try Short Zoot Suit, so I've been thinking about this one as well. That one's on Kickstarter and ends on the 31st. And then last one this week is a new game called Reef and Ruins, and a new deluxe version and an expansion for another game called Wicked and Wise, both from the same publisher whose name is spacing me at the moment, but that's okay. But yeah, I think this company has kickstarted like 15 games at this point. It was some big number, and some of them caught my eye for being names that I have heard fairly often. This first game is only $19, which, I mean, it seems very reasonable, especially for a game on Kickstarter. And the Wicked and Wise box is a bit different. It's not a roll and write game in the same way as Reefs and Ruin. But yeah, really cool. Good price point, cool pieces. Like that one has an otter meeple that like keeps track of the rounds. I wasn't able to read the rule books for these 2, but I like the way that they look visually, and it seems like they're a pretty safe bet because they have done so many games on here. So this is one that I have my eye on and just wanted to call out as well. So anyways, kind of a quicker crowdfunding corner this week with those 6 campaigns to talk about. But Devin, before we end this segment, what is your crowdfunding corner pick of the week?
Usually it's much easier for me to choose.
Yeah, these ones are tight. I agree.
They are a little bit tight. I'm going to choose 2 this time. I'm going to choose Ultramassive, where you were a black hole.
Cool
Seems
choice.
interesting, immersive, unique, simple. And then second one, I didn't think I would pick it, but I'm going to pick Bat Flip, where you're managing your baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I didn't take your pick.
Yeah. No, you're good. Bat Flip Dynasty is my choice as well. I've already backed it, so I'm excited about that one. Yeah, just really, really cool. I like that there's 12 different teams, so you can play it many times and it'll feel slightly different because you're just focused on different things as the aces, the pinchers, the dirtbags, the bangers, the juicers, the stars and scrubs. And I like the artwork on them too. The one that's the juicers definitely looks like a nod to steroids because they're all just uber jacked. And I think it has their like asymmetric power leans into that too. They're like all like really bulky, like powerful dudes. So I like the art style. It's kind of cool that this company seems to have just come up with this like fake baseball world, because these same teams I think were in the game prior. So I wonder if their third game will also be another riff on Bat Flip. But anyways, I hope that one does well for them, because it seems cool. So yeah, 6. I would I'm thinking about backing all 6 of these. I think I didn't include any that, and I don't think I will from now on because just the number is so high that are on crowdfunding. I don't think I'll include any that don't look at least cool or good or unique. So Mini Moons being that tiny little mint tin game I thought looked really cool too. But yeah, I think Bat Flip Dynasty was my pick this week as well. So that's going to do it for this segment, crowdfunding corner for the week of October 25th, 2024. All right, Devin, closing out the podcast here. I talked about TopGolf at the top, and I'm really into golf all of a sudden, playing with my old golf clubs and being terrible. but enjoying it all the same. So the two of us spent a little bit of time thinking about what our favorite golf games have been that we have played. I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of times in my life where I was really into golf video games. Most of them were when I was a teenager. I don't play golf games as much nowadays. And so most of my picks are going to be ones from the 2000s. But we both have 4 golf games. I'm going to start with 2 honorable mentions that I think are really cool, but they're kind of like only related to golf in theme. The first one is called Golf Story, and this one's basically a little role-playing game where you do play golf, but you also like do a lot of other things. You go around the town and like talk to people, and I don't know. It's really excellent. It reminds me of my number 1 pick that we'll get to later. A lot. Golf Story is great. I think it has a sequel that I don't know if it has come out yet, but Golf Story is super. The other honorable mention is What the Golf, which really surprised me when it came out on Apple Arcade as kind of a fun but very silly game where the first hole you swing a golf club at a golf ball and hit it towards this hole, and you're like, oh, cool. It's kind of got this cool art style, seems fun. And then the next hole you go to swing, and then instead of your club swinging and the ball going, your body just flies at the at the pin, and then every level after that just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Like we just saw one where you are golfing a house, and that one was a soccer ball, and you have to avoid kids, and you have to solve little puzzles and on a piano. That one's an office chair. What the Golf is great. I think this game did pretty well, and so that company's actually made another one. I can't remember which sport it was, but it's like What the Soccer or something. So cool idea. Liked both of those. All right, Devin. But now we're at our number 4s. I'm going to let you go first since I started with the 2 honorable mentions.
Of the 4 that I have, my number 4 is going to be Golf with Friends. Played this for the first time recently with some people from stream, and it was a good time. Basically, you just have a little gauge. You grab the ball and you just scoop back and you just have a power meter. You can never see what's coming. The levels are absolute chaos. Bridges are moving. Gravity changes. There's tunnels. You don't know what tunnel to go in. It's outrageous. Funny game, though. Super cool levels. They're all unique in their own way. Different aesthetic. I don't know too much about it because I haven't played it too thoroughly. But I had a good time playing this. It was like $5 on Steam or something.
Yeah, my number 4 has a similar multiplayer mode to it where you can all hit your ball at the same time. And I don't think the number of strokes in some of the game modes really even matter. It's just whoever gets their ball in the hole first. I think maybe funny. In the regular mode, like the strokes do matter in this one. Yeah, but my number 4 is Super Stickman Golf. This one is on iOS and is made by a really cool company called Noodle Cake Games. And this first one's been out for a long time. I think they've done 2, 3, and maybe even 4. And just a really fun 2D golf game where the holes get crazier and crazier, and you can add spin. You can get like sticky goo on your ball and shoot some crazy shots where you stick to the ceiling. I really like this one. And this one has that multiplayer mode where you're all like racing to get into the hole, which is fun. You can sit in the same room and just kind of, I don't know, goof off in a Super Stickman Golf. So that one is a number 4 for me.
All right. Number 3 for me comes from a very well-known game, Wii Sports. I chose Wii Sports Golf as number 3. We played this a lot. It was fun to flip the Wiimotes. We were always better at flipping the Wiimotes in bowling. We almost got some 300s.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was definitely harder. I feel like, I mean, it's all based on the direction you aim, and just you cannot go over the top of that power gauge, or else you're just gonna slice one of the directions like crazy. Yeah, pretty fun. I think there was only 9 holes maybe, but man, it didn't matter. That is a really fun one. I can't decide which of the sports I like the best in Wii Sports. and whoever is playing in this video you're watching is just hitting the most insane shots. He just hit the pin for a hole in one.
I think this whole video is
definitely
all
never
hole in
did
ones.
that. Oh, okay, crazy. Yeah, definitely never had that experience. But yeah, Wii Sports, that golf mode definitely has a special place in probably hundreds of millions of people's golf life. So yeah, good choice. My number 3, I played a lot of Tiger Woods. I can't remember exactly which one is my most played, but I think it was probably this one. The 2007 version. Again, we had the Xbox and then Xbox 360 and a PlayStation 3 right around this time. And yeah, I played a lot of Tiger Woods golf. And there were probably a dozen of these. And I think they are back to making Tiger Woods games. But I think he's with 2K now instead of EA Sports. I don't remember. They've gone back and forth. But Tiger Woods games are really great. It's basically probably the most similar to the TopGolf experience I was mentioning at the top when you actually play a course. You know, you aim and you hit, and you can do the different types of swing with kind of hot shot style with the triple click or with the joystick in order to actually simulate the swing. Yeah, Top Golf. What am I saying? Tiger Woods. I think those are great. Some years were better than others, but I played a lot of them, and I think those were really good. So that was my number 3, the Tiger Woods games.
I don't know which one to put in first place for me. My last 2 are both such goated choices. I'm just one of them feels much older, the other one a little bit newer. I'm gonna go number 2 for me is called Wacky World of Miniature Golf. Many of you probably have never seen this, but here it is. And we decided this was on a console called what? A Philips D1? D something?
CDI.
CDI. This game's outrageous. Basically, we played it as kids and with a remote, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it felt like playing, you know how movies, when DVDs first came out, always had like games in the menu? It felt like one of those, like pre-DVD though. You basically would move the cursor with a little a D-pad to choose if you wanted to aim right or left, and then based on what was going on in the environment, you would then click when you wanted to shoot, and that timing was the most important part.
Yeah, it was all about the timing. Obstacles. This guy's not doing good at all. He's messed up 3 times. Let's see,
there are a lot of levels in this game that, man, just give me the craziest nostalgia. This one right here with the going into that boat at the bottom of the ocean. There's one with these guys riding motorcycles back and forth over like a dirt road that I remember a lot too. Yeah, our neighbors had this game and we played it a ton. The funny thing, I was Googling this when I saw your list, and this game was actually narrated by Eugene Levi, and in some of the versions it said Wacky World of Miniature Golf with Eugene Levi, and he like narrates the whole thing. He's the dad in the TV show Schitt's Creek, and he was in a lot of like 90s movies and stuff. So it's kind of crazy they had a pretty big actor do the narration for this game. But yeah, very, very fun and very quirky. I imagine that most people have not played this, just a lot of it just simply because of the age. But and it was on a console that basically, I don't think Philips ever made another device after the CDI that I know of. So yeah, very, very cool. Deep pull there, Devin. That was a good one. My number 2 is another simulation game that we had for the Xbox. This is Lynx 2004. This game was made by Microsoft, I think. And man, I really, really liked this one. It reminded me of Tiger Woods, but I feel like it was trying to be a little more realistic. You had to swing with the joystick. And it had these cool slow motion shots when you got a good shot, like it just did there with the driver, and you'd like see the air ripple next to the ball, which is a little dramatic maybe, but it made you feel cool as a 14-year-old. And I feel like it was just a little more minimalist, um, and just like pure golfing. There's like less going on the screen than some of the Tiger Woods games, and you could pull off some crazy backspin on some of these shots and stuff. I really liked Lynx. I think this one, 2004, was the last Lynx game that ever came out. But yeah, very, very fun game. I wish that Microsoft still made them. It would probably be a pretty big franchise for them at this point if they had stayed with it. Like Flight Simulator, which is one of their other franchises that they continue to release. So, anyways, Lynx 2004, much lesser known than Tiger Woods, but I liked it better. And maybe it was just that year or something. Maybe playing it now I wouldn't, but yeah, Lynx was great.
All right.
So that's my number 2.
My number 1, which is the greatest golf game of all time, is Hot Shots Golf on the PS1. You want some nostalgia in your life? Here you go. Look at this.
Taku.
Look at this character picking. You remember this? Oh, man.
Totally.
So well. Skip forward a little bit. So we're doing some mini golf right here. Was it always mini golf? I can't remember.
No, this must be like a mini game inside of it because it's regular golf for most of it.
Yeah, you'd get like a little silhouette of your character and you could see all the lines and how it was going to play out. The art style was super fun. And I think there was only 2 or maybe 4 characters you could choose from. But
yeah, I don't think there was a ton, but yeah, this game was very, very cool. I remember this one and number 2 playing them at our grandparents' house. And this game had this franchise had a lot of games in it. Even the most recent one, Everybody's Golf, just came out probably 5 years ago or so. I hope that they make another one, but I think that team that makes Hot Shots Golf, their name was Clap Hands, and I think they have moved on to making golf games for mobile. So I don't know if they'll make another Hot Shots. I had Hot Shots Golf for my Vita and loved that version as well. It's a really good one. I think it was called World Invitational. Now that I say that out loud, that probably should have been one of my 5 picks, but hey, you at least gave Hot Shots a shout out here. My number 1, I haven't played in a long time, but I remember getting a Game Boy Advance, getting Mario Kart and Castlevania and Circle of the Moon, and then the next game I got was this one, Mario Golf. I remember picking it up at a store on our way to our grandparents on like a 3-hour drive. I feel like we were about halfway on that drive, and I don't even know why they let me stop to get it at that point, but for some reason they did. And I played it like in the car the rest of the way there, and then played this game for months. And it was Mario Golf Advance Tour. It's very similar to Hot Shots that Devin just talked about, but obviously on the Game Boy Advance, it's a little more pixelated than the PlayStation 1 was. But this game, it was made by Camelot, I think is the name of the company, and they kind of take a sports game and turn it into an RPG. So you play a ton of golf, but you're also a student at a golf academy, and so you're like making friends and leveling up and talking to people and in between your rounds of golf. And then there's like story moments, and you then eventually have to play against all of the Mario characters. So like as you get better and better, you like have to join a tournament with Yoshi, and then like with Toad and stuff. So it was very cool. It was one of my first like mini RPG games as a 12-year-old or however old I was, where I was like, wow, this is cool. I feel like I'm getting better, and my character has friends at this school, and I'm like leveling up, and eventually I'm gonna beat Mario. So yeah, that's probably I thought that was the coolest experience because it was the one I got the most invested in. The golf is simpler, but man, even for like the Game Boy Advance, I feel like it plays just about like, Hot Shots or Tiger Woods would, where you're adjusting your clubs and the loft and the spin and all kinds of stuff there. And you could do these cool power shots where you could decide if I'm going to push A or B as the third button click when it gets back to that baseline. And if I press, I think it was B, then the shot will be more powerful. But if I miss, it's less forgiving, and I'll miss by like it'll slice much further so it's riskier to use B as like your end ultra power shot. So I don't know. I really loved this game. It was one of my very favorite Game Boy Advance games. Probably my favorite golf experience. I think I have it on my Rogue Ally. I need to try it again. Sometimes it's hard to go back though. Those just kind of a time and place thing when you had a Game Boy Advance in 2002 and you're like, wow, these are the coolest graphics ever, and I'm holding this thing in my hand. But nowadays we're spoiled when I can play Fortnite on my phone. I'm not going to play that, but I can play Animal Well and Balatro and Tiger Woods probably right on my phone. It's hard to go back sometimes. But anyways, Mario Golf Advance Tour is my number one.
Amazing.
So I thought that was fun. That was 8 games and then 2 honorable mentions. So that's 10 golf games right there. So I think that was a pretty cool list. Let us know in the comments what your favorite golf game is. Love to hear about other ones and maybe even some recent ones because that are the best, because I haven't played a golf game in a long time. I know there's still Tiger Woods and EA golf games right now, but I haven't played one in a long time, so love to hear about that. Yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. That's going to do it for that this top 10 list, and we'll this is a hard part, Devin, where I'm going to clip out these different
I feel you.
sections. I'm like, how do I end the section? But we're still going to talk for another few seconds before I end the podcast.
Yeah.
So that was a little behind the scenes, that everybody listening got, but and I never know how to do that. A little tricky. But Devin, that's going to do it for episode 30.
Wow.
What time is it? Is it before midnight? Oh, it's 12:01. Dang it. But we almost did it before midnight. All right, man. Well, I am probably going to go try and play this game, Mario Golf Advance Tour, because just looking at it, I'm getting the itch. But what's up for you the rest of the evening and this week? Probably bedtime tonight, but
sleep, and then I got to figure out
plans?
what games to stream now that we've beat some horror games. So
I think Returnal would be a good choice because it is definitely like a psychological horror vibe in that game, and you're shooting weird aliens, and I don't know, it fits pretty well. And I know you've been wanting to play it for a bit. So that would be probably my recommendation. That Signalis one that you started is excellent too. It kind of reminds me of Resident Evil, that some of the puzzles are a little obscure. But yeah, it's really good. So I don't know. There's a lot.
There's always another game.
There is, which is tricky. All right, well, that's going to do it for episode 30. Thanks so much for listening. Please make sure to check us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/supergamebrothers. You can write into the show, get these episodes 3 days early, and get some extra bonus content. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channels. That helps us out a ton. And we will see you next week for episode 31. Until then, have a good one.